Welcome to the land of snowboard gear polyamory. I am James Beastie. This is Davey Boy right here, and this is the Yes All In. Next to it is the Pyzel. Two boards with the same shape, same side cuts, but different construction, camber profile, and other different features like setback inserts with the Pyzel. And these boards were sent to us by Yes, and we're sending them back. We're here to give an honest, objective review for you. I rode this in a little bit of powder and then varied spring conditions. I rode this with the Union Atlas, the Now Drive, and the Drive Pro, and Ride Torrent boots.
I rode this board with my Union Force bindings, Burton Ion boots, and Now Select Pro bindings. And I got it out in the same conditions that Beastie did.
I was on the 158 for the Pyzel and the All In. I've often compared these, same day, same run. Same binding, same boots. I felt like both were too big for me.
I rode this in the 160 wide, 240, 6'4", size 12 boots, no heel or toe drag.
This is a tapered directional board. I think there's like 6 mil or so of taper, but this definitely feels more on the longer all mountain side of tapered. Then you throw in the camber profile, there's just a mellow camber between the feet with a decent amount of early rise. In comparison to the Pyzel next to it, that's modern camber, or they just call it camber now. But there's a little bit of transition before the nose and tail into rocker. So it doesn't feel like old school true camber, which is nice. And that helps with float and forgiveness, but it's definitely much more of a technical, advanced to expert rider kind of board versus this All In just works for everybody's in. Beginner to expert. You can all have a fun time with this.
Yeah, I like the All In a lot. I thought it was definitely less technical than the Pyzel. And I think for the overall average rider, this is much more welcoming and just going to be a little bit more playful and enjoyable type of ride.
And both of these track really well, one footing off a chair or flat basing down a long cat track, something like that. Now let's talk flex. 58 versus 58. There's kind of like a medium stiff flex, kind of on the stiff side of medium, and it just feels pretty consistent throughout. And if you compare it to the Pyzel, I feel like it's just a little stiffer. It might just be because the camber, there's a little more camber towards the tip and tail, so it makes it a little harder to flex.
Yeah, I definitely felt that the Pyzel was stiffer when I was riding it.
When it came to buttering, I could just butter this All In so much easier than I could the Pyzel. Nose butters, tail butters felt really easy compared to the Pyzel. The Pyzel took a good bit of work. And the same thing happened when it came to ollie power. I just had an easier time accessing the pop of the All In and getting air. Even though the Pyzel has more camber and more pop, it just took a lot more work for me to get to that.
Yeah, I'm not much of a nose butterer, but I found the tail butters on this All In to be super easy, smooth as butter. I definitely think this board, it's not as poppy as the Pyzel, but it's easier to access, like Beastie was just saying.
Then you take that flex personality, that kind of rubbery, balanced with poppy personality, and you put it in all conditions. I thought this did very well. I'd say the Pyzel did a little bit better in hard micro bumpy and soft uneven snow, but this All In was very close, and it's just a good all conditions, all day kind of ride.
I got it out in uneven conditions where it was kind of firm and messy in the morning. It's kind of like bumpy slush that had frozen over the night before and hadn't been groomed, that I was riding around on waiting for it to soften up. And even though it is a little softer than the Pyzel and a little bit more chattery, I think it's just more playful and easy maneuvering, and it's just kind of a more fun experience to ride around on. You don't really have to work as hard.
Let's talk edge hold. This tapered mid-bite is unique because there's a more pronounced aggressive indention right here. You get a lot more grip right here. This tapered mid-bite, it's a much more mellow indention. You really have to lean more into the front foot when it's icy. That holds better. Sometimes when you lean into the back with hard, uneven snow, that back part lets go a little easier. But this is still a very good hard snow specialist for sure. So when it comes to turn initiation, the turning experience in carving, it was pretty easy for me to initiate a turn, but it wasn't a fast turner. I felt just a little too small with size 9 boots, but if I was a 10 or even 11, I'd say this is medium fast. But When I got it on edge, you could feel this balanced side cut, just kind of let you do a little bit of everything. If you like more medium radius turns to maybe a little more longer drawn out turns that are starting to get into longer S's, this can work well too. This just felt maybe a little easier for me to turn than the Pyzel, and it still had pretty good spring out of the turn for not being almost full camber like the Pyzel. So definitely more satisfying with the Pyzel, but just a little bit easier to ride all day with the All-In. This is a really good front foot weighted carver, especially medium to hard snow. You engage that indention right here that's much more pronounced than the one on the back. As the snow gets softer and it gets more playful, you can really engage into the back foot and it won't be as washy. But it really depends on the conditions. But let's talk powder. With a 22.5-inch stance width, you can get 2 inches back from center of board. That's not a lot. That's even less than the standard on ink and the standard. The Pyzel has the setback inserts, so you can get negative 3.625 inches back from center of board with a 22.5-inch stance width. And that's a big complaint for both Davey and I. We love these setback inserts. We loved them on the standard. We loved them on the standard on ink. We know this is a lower price point, but I just say, and so does Davey, put setback inserts on every Yes board.
Please.
Maybe except for the greats. That would be weird. I thought it was very doable switch. You do feel a little difference with this indention versus this indention, but not as much as I thought, and this is very good for a board with a little bit of taper.
Yeah, I thought this board was good switch. And for the park, I thought this board did great. I thought it tracked really well into the kickers without feeling like it was too locked in or like it was going to catch an edge. You could speed check yourself going into a jump without feeling catchy or sketchy at all. This thing was really fun. The mini pipe that I got it in, I don't know if it would handle a big pipe as well as the mini pipe because I don't think it's quite stiff enough to really boost off of like a 20-foot
This
wall.
guy, yeah.
Yeah, that's the Pyzel. But for the mini pipe that I had it in, and for my little airs that I was doing, this thing was very fun. Like I said, very playful and just easy to maneuver around and get it to do what you want it to do.
Overall, I personally preferred the All-In more than the Pyzel. I thought it would be the other way around. Even though it has an extruded base, it didn't have quite the high-end tech that the Pyzel did. I just like this flex personality a little better. I felt like it suited my average-ass riding style a little better. I did enjoy the Pyzel more for carving, going faster when I was in a more aggressive mood. If this had setback inserts, this would just be All-In, all day recommendations. Can tickle everybody's taint.
Yeah, the All-In at setback inserts, it would be one of my go-to quiver killers. But as it stands, I still think it's a really good board for a lot of people. I liked the playful personality of this a little bit more than the Pyzel.